Seni çok özledik. Bak burada kim var?
Merhaba teyze, nasılsın? Doğum günü kutlu olsun, iyi ki doğdun.
Sedre Alap.
Burada.
Masaraba. İsa Demlahi.
Öğretmenim, onun annesi öldü ya.
Like there are two places that I'm really excited to have the film release about. One of them is of course Sarajevo, because it's my hometown and I'm always excited and curious to show it to the people that I know. And another place that is maybe even I'm more excited than Sarajevo this time is Turkey. I feel really like happy to finally have a chance to show this movie to Turkish audience, and I'm really looking forward. If I could attend every screening, I would do so. I know it's not possible, but I'm really happy to finally get to the point to have a cinema release in Turkey.
Suriyeliler için ölüm normal olmuş.
So I think this, because we had experience showing this movie to different world festivals, and what I think is this quality of this film, like after the premiere in Antalya Film Festival, which was really had a good reception, we went to China and got an audience award, which is amazing, and that's how I understood and approved to myself that this movie can communicate really on with different countries, with different cultures, because it has this human content that is common for all people, because it talks about children. And I think no matter of the cultural differences, historical or geographical, all children in the world are the same. And I think none of them is guilty for anything and they shouldn't suffer. So we did this movie in order to raise awareness of orphans. We did it just to develop compassion towards those who are in need. And therefore I think that this movie is suitable for all the family. So during the shooting I brought my two kids to the shooting place, for filming place, and their perception changed because they understood that they are kids who are less fortunate than themselves, so they start to appreciate their own life and they start to understand better those who are, for example, coming to sell something while we are having a coffee, So I think that I would like to invite families, I would like to invite women also to bring their kids, and this is how we can start making bridges, raising our children to have more compassion towards others.
Bakayım? Her gün nereye gidiyorsunuz?
Mendil.
Boş İsa.
Neden mendil satıyorsun sen oğlum?
Çünkü yaşamak için para kazanmam gerekiyor. Allah'ım, annem beni görsün ve yanına alsın. Çok teşekkür ederim.
I'm Bosnian and I did a movie about Syrians in Turkey. And of course, my main goal was to talk about kids, to talk about orphans, and I didn't touch any historical or political context. I tried to tell the story that is talking about kids only, orphans only, and I think that we can promise audience to bring them to a very nice emotional journey through this film. And I'm sure that those who come to see it will bring with themselves something to remember. And according to the reactions so far in different spots around the world, I can say that people start to, some people told me, okay, from now on I will watch to the Syrian kids differently, because cinema in this movie is telling you about particular kids that you can attach to. So I think that's the quality of it. It's very free from wider context and it's very, coming to the essence of human hearts, I hope.
Sen ne yapıyordun? Neredeydin?
Teyzeyle birlikteydim. Ne yapayım yani? Kendimi ikiye mi böleyim ha?
Allah selameti geri getir.
So I must say that people abroad don't know much about the fact, they know the fact that Turkey accepted like few million refugees, like almost 4 million people. But about circumstances and some like specific cases they don't know. So, for example, what I saw on the spot, the fact that, for example, Syrian kids can go to Arabic schools, which you can see in the film, it's something very special, let's say. So they can go and follow the school in their own language. The fact that, for example, in Şanlıurfa, they all live in the same neighborhood with the Turks and they have relations to each other is also something very unique. I think that in that sense, this movie is opening up something about the situation and how to say, about the real life and everyday life of refugees in Turkey. So I met few foreign spectators after the film screening here in Sarajevo, and they told me like, yeah, it was very nice to see also this Turkish story from Turkey about Syrians. So people were really excited and happy to see about that.
Beni rahat bırak.
Ulan ben sana 50 lira getirmeden bu eve gelmeyeceksin demedim mi lan? Çık geç. Çık bu evden.
Bu gerçek mi? Canım babam benim.
So you know, this cooperation was kind of dream project, let's say, because I got invitation to do something for orphans, but I had all the creative freedom. Also, this relation was based on trust, and I think it was most important thing is that we have same motivation why we do this film. So we all had this need to do something for orphans and to say something about orphans. But what makes me think about this movie as my most successful film is the fact that people from Bashir and our producer continue to take care of the kids. So the fact that our main characters, none of them is living in orphanage anymore. They have apartments, they have scholarships, they have love, which is most important. And somebody to take care of them makes me feel that cinema really changed something. And all around the world, when I introduce the film, people are very touched. They really cry a lot seeing the destinies of these poor children. But then when I tell them that they are now more safe, they have somebody to take care about them, people feel relieved. And that's why I think that this movie showed me that you can really change something concrete doing a film project. On the other hand, psychologically, I think that this whole filmmaking process for the kids made them feel psychologically better because they understood they have talent, they understood that their self-confidence raised, and I think that they went after the filming process, they changed in that sense, being more confident and more optimistic in life. So all in all, I'm really very happy to be and honored to be part of this incredible project. Experience working with children from before, and even though most of the crew were afraid, oh, how can we manage to shoot, to film such a long time with the kids, I knew that once when you pick up a kid who is motivated enough and talented enough, you will have no problem. So the thing with the kids is when you give them love, they give you back love. When you give them trust, they give you back trust. So I was never afraid of having so many kids on the film set. So in that sense, I think that after 3 days of filming, they start to behave as the most professionals you can imagine. So you can also not bribe kids, let's say. You know, kids has to have pure relation to you in order to go with you to this journey. You know, kids are pure people, so you have to have really honest and straight relation to them in order to achieve results. And I think that between us, not only me, but all the crew understood the importance of this project. So I think that all of us had this great relationship with each other, and that the result was that shooting process was without any problems. invited like people from 13 different countries to border city in Turkey in such a tense moment of the Syrian war, you know. People were, how to say, afraid a bit, you know. They didn't know much about the circumstances around. So when they arrived to Şanlıurfa, first of all, they understood the openness and beauty of the city and the citizens. So we learned all about this Turkish openness and warmth. And on the other hand, when they understood that it's not just a project, that we talk about real kids that are in front of us, they all became very emotional, you know. So you could see, for example, while picking up locations, the film crew going and providing to refugees stuff like a fridge or diapers for the kids, you know. So in that sense, you know, I think that all the crew coming from different parts of the world understood that this impact of this film is happening right away. You know, it's not that we will have to wait for the festivals or the reception of the critics. It's something that we can see results right away. So in that sense, I mean, people even today are telling me that it was most important and significant project that they ever participated to. So that's how I think that film, if it's construction, then it's just a movie, you know, it can have an impact. But this time, the result and the, how to say, change you could see right away on the faces of the kids, on the result around with the refugees in the neighborhood. So in that sense, I think that is how I after this movie, you know, I believe that film can change something good. Otherwise, I'm asking myself why I'm doing it, you know. But after this project, I think I really, it was proof for me that if you do something that you know best, like in this case it's a filmmaking for me, with a good motivation, that then results in real life you can see right away. I know that communication between people is beyond the language, beyond the words that we say. We talk more with the emotions and mime and gestures and the way how we walk and things like that. And I know the cinema is also supporting. It's an image, it's a sound, it's a feeling more than a word. So I always believe that cinema can communicate, no matter if it's talking about some culture that is far away from the spectators, you know. And with this movie, I really was happy to see how the same emotional reactions I could see in New York, in Tehran, in China, in Sarajevo, in Edinburgh, in Scotland. And you know, it really encouraged me again to keep going, you know, and to keep believing that as a filmmaker I can still do something regarding making bridges between people and spreading, let's say, some positive energy. Well, I think that we live in times when there are more walls that are appearing around us, and we are starting to perceive the world as a place of diversity, as a place of hostility, as a place where those others are so different than us. So my kid is so different than some other kid that, you know, but I think that cinema, I mean, at least cinema that I'm trying to do is trying to make bridges, you know, and I think that in that sense, orphan is orphan, no matter which city it comes from. So now we talk in this movie about Syrian orphans, but there are also Turkish orphans, there are also Bosnian orphans, you know, so, and they are in the same position, they are in the same need. And it's not only money that can help and that the orphan needs, you know, it's also love, it's attention, you know. So I think that we are a little bit tired of seeing misery all around us. We are a bit tired, and we feel helpless most of the time, thinking that we cannot change anything to better because the world is like burning and everything is terrible. But I believe that if we really look around us in our microcosmos and pick up some kids that we can make his or her life, one day of her life better, it will make our life better too, you know. So I'm encouraging myself in that sense. I'm trying to tell to myself, okay, you cannot change the world, but as soon as you change something small around you, it means that you change the world already. So I think in that sense, having in mind that orphan issue is the same, no matter of the culture, ethnicity, geographical position, then I think we can feel better thinking that we can change something. One more argument that was on my side, let's say, was the fact that I went through the war and together with most of the crew I brought with me, we went through this, we were those kids 20 years ago. And during the siege of Sarajevo, we didn't like necessarily those foreigners coming to tell about us, because it's not that all of them came with the pure intentions. So going to Şanlıurfa, going to the refugee camps and orphanages, I spoke to myself saying, are you one of those people, those foreigners who are trying to make something out of other people's misery? And I knew I wasn't one of those people, because my experience was different. I could understand them better, and my motivation was more strong, because I can recognize myself in those kids. And I must tell you that kids recognize that as well. So I never had any obstacle, any wall. When I appear and I tell them who I am, the kids felt this kind of intention. And that was really good thing to experience. So after we made the film, we showed it here to the Bosnian audience and regional audience as well. And people really cried so much. They were touched so much because they could see themselves in those boys, you know. And for me it was very important because it showed me that the movie is believable in that sense, you know, because most of my friends were refugees and they told me I was crying so much because it reminded me on my own life in a refugee, in refuge during our war. So for me it was important to check if we were believable and truthful, and having ex-refugees reacting so emotionally on this story made me feel more confident about it. For example, talking about Sarajevo, there is one friend of mine who doesn't like art house cinema at all, and she is not very compassionate and to other people. She's like that. She's great, but you know. But after this movie, she told me we should really help those refugees here in Bosnia now, you know. And I was shocked, thinking if I could melted her heart, then it's really something. On the other hand, there was this woman, Jordanian woman, seeing the movie in Dubai, telling me, now I will look differently to those Syrian kids when I go back home, because Jordan is also overwhelmed with Syrian refugees and people cannot, you know, they don't know what to do. Also in US, one guy told me after watching this film, I thought before I was giving my money to the charity, to the organizations that are helping orphans, and I thought to stop because the taxes increased. But now after this movie I will continue. Also in Tehran people were crying a lot because Iran is also overwhelmed with different wars, with different refugees. And so in Edinburgh, for example, in Scotland, there was this older woman who told me we should show this movie to our school children in Scotland. So it gave me a lot of courage to go on and to really fight to show this movie to wherever I can.
Sedra Alapt, İsa Demrahi.
Öğretmenim, onun annesi öldü ya.
Suriyeliler için ölüm normal olmuş.
Neden okula gitmediniz bakayım?
Boştur İsa.
Dua teyze, Ahmet kayboldu. Bugün bize polis geldi. Ya yardım edin, kimse yok mu? Susana!
Beni rahat bırak.
Çık bu evden!
Ne?
Bugünün sloganı neydi?
Biz Suriye'nin geleceğiyiz.